Do you remember the story in Matthew chapter 14? I'm sure you've heard this before. Peter walking on the water. You remember the whole story? How that Jesus had stayed and sent the disciples away and told them to go to the other side. And then he comes walking on the water later. And the Bible said that they were screaming or crying out for fear. One translation I looked at said they were screaming like little girls, which you probably would be too, because they thought it was some sort of a ghost. Now, the Bible tells us in verse 24 that the ship was in the midst of the sea, tossed with waves. Watch, for the wind was contrary. So in other words, the wind's blowing. When it said it's contrary, it meant it was blowing against the way the ship was going. It was conflicting with what they were trying to do, where they were trying to go. And the Bible said that Jesus came walking on the water, and they cried out for fear. He said, "Don't be afraid, it's me. Be of good cheer." And Peter said, "Lord, if it's you, bid me to come to you." I wouldn't have done that personally, but Peter did. So it was Jesus. So Jesus just simply replied by saying, "Come." Now watch this. And Peter came down out of the ship and he walked on the water to go to Jesus. You don't know anybody that's done that, I don't think, do you? If you do, let me know. This is one of the most amazing miracles that took place in the New Testament, but yet what we normally remember is Peter sinking. There's a reason that Peter started sinking. Jesus didn't just get him out of the boat and think, I'm going to pull a trick on him, make him sink, and then he's going to be sorry he ever got out of the boat. That's not what Jesus did. There was a point that Jesus was trying to prove to Peter. I want you to watch this. And then the Bible said that when Peter saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid. Now, wasn't the wind already blowing? I just read it to you in verse 24, that the wind was already blowing. It was contrary to the boat. It was pushing the boat. There were waves. But Peter got his focus off of Jesus and his instruction to come, and now he's got it on the wind. Listen, anytime you get your focus on something besides the word or the instruction or the promises of God, there's going to be some things that start happening in your life that are contrary to the word. Now, here's what I want you to watch. I want you to watch this. So Peter started to sink, and when he saw the wind, and he was afraid, and he said, "Lord, save me." And the Bible said Jesus immediately stretched forth his hand, caught him, and said unto him this. Watch this. This is what I want you to see. "O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt?" Now, you need to understand, if you don't know this, if you've listened to me any period of time at all, you know the word faith means that you're persuaded. If I tell you something, you're persuaded that what I told you is right. If you experience something, you're persuaded that that thing is right. People, places, thing, whatever it is. And I've told you before, one of the reasons people believe their own lies after a while is because they keep hearing them, because faith comes by hearing and hearing, not just having heard one time, but continual exposure to something or to something being said or an experience that you're seeing. So Peter's a fisherman. He knows what happens when the wind gets boisterous. And he became afraid, and instead of continuing to walk, he began to sink. Now, when I read this years ago, I used to think, man, Jesus is just ripping him. He is just giving it to him. He says, "O thee of little faith," until I looked through the original text in the Greek. The word little means brief. He said, man, you were persuaded for a while. And then watch, he said, "Wherefore didst thou doubt?" The word doubt means to withdraw from something. It means that you're wavering. Now, I want you to watch this. This is a completely different word than the word that gets translated unbelief in the New Testament. Unbelief means that you don't have faith. You didn't start with faith. You don't have faith. And the reason you're not experiencing something is because you don't have faith. You're not persuaded. When God gives you a promise in His Word, you're not persuaded that it's true. Now watch, I want you to see something. This is so important. He said, what caused you to doubt? And what he was trying to do is to get Peter to recognize what caused him to be walking on water, have faith, and then withdrew his faith, that he wavered in his faith. And if you learn to do this, it will help you stay in a place of faith. It'll help you continue to believe. The word believe, by the way, is the verb form of the word faith almost every time you find it in the New Testament. Now, if you go to James, and I'm going to do this quickly because I just want to keep this brief. If you go to James, James said, let no man say when he is tempted, I'm tempted of God. I want to back up here. Let me go to verse 7. He said, let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. He was talking about someone asking God something in faith or being persuaded that it was true. He said, if you lack wisdom, ask God. He'll give it to you liberally. He won't fuss with you about it, and it shall be given unto you. He said, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. That word wavering is the same word as doubt. And the word nothing in the original text says not even once. Why? How many times did Peter doubt when he was walking on the water? One time. What happened when he doubted? He withdrew from his faith, and the thing that he was operating in, listen, I know some of you have done this. You've been working along, you've been in the Word, you've claimed a promise, you keep looking at the promise, and something comes by to distract you. A storm, winds, something that contradicts what you're trying to do or trying to accomplish. What promise are you pursuing? Are you keeping your focus on it? Because I'm telling you, Satan will accommodate you with all kinds of things that are contrary to what the promises of God are. You've got to be a person. How are you going to overcome doubt? Pastor, I'm back and forth on things. I understand. A lot of people have. I've lived my life like that before. Getting an atmosphere, you think, praise God, I'm getting this, that's mine. I'm going to walk in it the rest of my life. And something comes by that's contrary. And when it's contrary, many times people withdraw from the very faith that they develop from the Word. Listen, Jesus said, come. Peter was following his instruction by faith. Then something contrary came along. Oh my, I hope you get this. This is the way we overcome doubt, is to keep our focus on the promise and not on things that are contrary. Listen, I love you. I'm praying for you. Hey, will you share these posts? It really helps us get the word out. I'll talk to you soon.